start a series with Oregon State at Tony Gwynn Stadium, so I'm sure he knows it's game day. Approaching game day as we go out to the Western Exterminator hotline here to start hour number 2, and we talk to Mr. Padre Hall of Famer Tony Gwynn via the Western Exterminator hotline. Tony, as always, it's a pleasure. Darren Smith, thank you very much for the time.
Darren, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm just back from Peoria, so you know how that goes out there for a couple of days.
No, they're getting ready to start playing games, so I'm sure it's going to go a whole lot better here.
Yeah, they're a little tired of looking at each other, you know? They're like, let's go already. Let's start playing some of these games. And then in about 3 weeks, they're going to go, all right, we're tired of playing these games. Let's get the season
It
going.
won't even take that long. It'll take a week, and then they'll be ready to come home.
You know they're playing 38 games this year in spring?
I heard you say that, and I'm sure that's because of the WBC having to report a little bit earlier so they can get those guys ready for that. In the meantime, all the other guys have got to get themselves ready to, they're going to play games. So, it's a great opportunity for the young guys because, it gives you a couple of extra games, a couple of extra weeks really to get yourself ready for the season. And those young guys who are trying to make an impression, they get a chance to make a little bit better impression. But, that being said, if you're a veteran guy, you're going to be sick of spring training in a week and ready to come home.
Not only that, you should see the coaching staff. It looks like they're trying to herd goats when they get all these players out there on the field. There's so many different players out there touching their toes and stretching and doing it all. And it's like, how do you keep tabs on all these different guys?
No, I know. And I talked to my son the other day, and he's in Dodger camp, and he was saying they were getting ready to play the Lakers. Man, they were running around doing a whole bunch of stuff, and they had a lot of guys in camp. And usually, that's normal. Usually you get 60, 65 guys in camp. And, for the coaching staff, it's really hard to stay on top of everybody. But, again, it's an opportunity to show your wares, show what you can do from the coaching staff, front office people. That first week to me is always a lot of fun because, as a veteran, you see these younger guys coming in and, they got their mind set. They're prepared. They're ready to go. They've worked out all winter long, and now it's just about executing the things that they've been practicing. So that part's a lot of fun.
When you got to spring training, did you have one way to do it? I mean, when you started actually playing in the games, did you have any sort of philosophy at the plate where you wanted to either take pitches? Did you want to swing the bat? Was there something that you did, Tony, when you got there and said, well, this is the way I'm going to start spring training once the games actually start?
I did, and it's really funny because, I think the average fan doesn't really think in terms of what's going to happen in spring training. My philosophy, I always got there early, because I wanted to face pitching as soon as I could, because I'd worked out all winter. And, when you get to spring training, first time pitchers go out, they're usually working on 2 pitches, fastball, changeup. And so early on, I wanted to see as many pitches as I could, because most of the veteran guys weren't throwing breaking balls yet, where sometimes the A ball, the AA guy, he's working on, he's trying to make an impression. So against those guys, you kind of turn it up a little bit because they're going to mix all their pitches in. And for the veteran guy, the first couple of times out, it's fastball, changeup, and they gradually start mixing in breaking ball, off speed, splitter, fork, whatever the specialty pitch is. So my game plan, and this is going to sound crazy, but my game plan was always the first week, if I could hit a ground ball to short, then I'm good. It wasn't getting a hit. It wasn't, hitting a home run. That was kind of the worst thing I could do was hit a home run. My game plan was always, if I could hit a regular ground ball to short, then I'm good, because that means I'm seeing the ball. I'm trying to let it get deep. I'm not trying to overswing. And for the first week, that's all I did. I was perfectly content if I could hit 2 ground balls to short, take it in, go across the park, go to the practice field, work on whatever. And that was, and as you move along, of course, now you have to try to turn it up a notch, get ready for breaking balls, change-ups, all that stuff. But on the hitting end, it was just simple. Hit a ground ball is short, and you're good.
How did you share that philosophy with your teammates? Would they ask you what you were trying to do?
Because yeah, they did. Merv Rittman was our hitting coach one year. And, Bruce Bochy had just taken over as the manager. We're over at Scottsdale playing the Giants. And I tell Merv before the game starts, I said, look, I only need 2 at-bats today. If I hit 2 ground balls to short, I'm good. And the look that he gave me, because it was like, are you kidding? I said, no, that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to back the ball up. And if I can hit a ground ball to short, fine. If it goes through the 525 hole, fine. that was it. And this was, two weeks into spring training. That's all I was trying to do. I wasn't necessarily trying to get hits because at that point, your confidence. I could hit 220 in spring training and know that I was ready to go when the season starts. But I don't think many guys were that detailed. I remember telling Steve Henley, man, I'm just trying to hit a ground ball short today. That's it. And the look, they look at you like you're out of your mind because, in hitting, everybody wants to get hits, of course. Everybody wants to have success. And, that was my philosophy. And I tell my guys this at state, and, left-hand hitters, they think I'm crazy, but, you can stay back long enough, hit the ball the other way. That tells you that you're seeing the ball good and that your setup is good. And now all you have to do is just take a, nice, easy swing, and you're in business.
See, the reason I asked that follow-up question, Tony, is because I had heard one of your former teammates say that when he got to spring training, and I'm talking about Nevin, he'd
really?
he'd said that, and I would assume maybe he got that from you, or if that's a philosophy that a lot of players have, he said when he'd get up there, he didn't want to swing the first couple of games. He wanted to just train his eyes to see the pitch, to see the spin, to see the rotation of the ball. So I'm just thinking he may have gotten that from you. I don't know.
Well, Rod Carew told me when we got Phil Nevin from the Angels, Rod Carew told me that, hey, Tony, you need to stay on field as long as possible because when he's hitting the ball to right center, then he's good. And that's why I told him that. I just said, hey, you're big and strong enough. You don't have to worry about hitting the ball out of the park to left field. You just got to work on backing the ball up. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of guys kind of have their own philosophies and stuff, and it's really not, especially in spring training, it's really not one of those that's talked about, especially with young hitters, because young guys are they're always trying to make an impression. So success to them is getting hits. Where for the veteran guy who kind of understands the game and what he's trying to do up there, it's simpler than that, And to me, that makes the game a whole lot simpler when you're not saying, hey, I got to get a hit every time. If I can go up there and try to do it right every time, then your chances of success, especially over 162 games, goes a lot higher.
We're talking to Tony Gwynn on San Diego Sports Leader. It's the Mighty 1090. I don't know if you heard Cam Maben on with us yesterday, but I know you at least have heard about it. And Cam came on and said, I hope Tony doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but in the offseason, he said he spent a little time with you. He reached out to you and actually flew from North Carolina to pick your brain on hitting. Could you tell us a little bit about what happened there and how that worked out?
Well, I'm going to kill Cameron when I see him. I can tell you that. His thing with Cameron, I really tried to make it simple for him. He came out here. He came and sat in my office. Him and his dad were here. And the very first question I asked him was, Cameron, what type of hitter do you want to be? And he gave me that puzzled look like, why would I ask him that question? And I said, the reason why I'm asking that question is because I watched you all last year, and when you weren't having success, you were tinkering. You were changing stuff. We went with a leg kick, and we spread out, and we did this, we did that. And, so what type of hitter do you want to be? And he said he thinks he's a guy that's capable of hitting, 20 home runs, stealing 50 bases. And I said, I agree with that. I said, what you have to do is you got to come up with a game plan and you got to stick with it. You can't change it when you're not having success. You got to stick with it. And if you stick with it, I said, I guarantee you're going to be shocked at how much easier the game is because you're going with something that you're going to trust and use all year long. And so we go down to the cage and we work on just simple things, backing the ball up, making sure his hands stay on the same path. And again, it's not super complicated stuff. It's just very basic things that comes with it. And I told him, I said, look, you're the one who's going to stand in the box and make this happen. So if you have success, you just say, hey, I got a game plan. I'm sticking with the game plan. And if you have success, great. And if you don't have success right away, you got to trust it. You got to believe in it. And it's a 162-game season. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you got to trust it. So I gave him basic information. It's nothing different than I tell anybody else. And I just hope he trusts it and believes in it. I called Phil Flintier, had him call Phil Flintier, had him call Alonzo Powell, let him know that, hey, I'm just going to give him basic stuff. They were great with it. And so I'm I'm interested in see. I really want to see if he's going to stick with it or not. If he does, then I expect him to have success this year.
You know, you just said there that you had to call, or you called or had him call Phil Plantier and Alonzo Powell, or the two-headed monster that the Padres are using now as hitting coaches there. Mm-hmm. Was there some sort of, if you get contacted like that by a member of the Padres, is there like a protocol and an unwritten rule there that you know, you should let people know what's going on there because you don't want to step on somebody else's territory?
Exactly. That's why I had him do it, because I didn't want them to feel like I'm encroaching on what they're doing. You know, when I do the Padre games during the season, I have a lot of interaction with Phil and Alonzo, and, you know, we talk about stuff, and you know, I'll ask, you know, what's the guy working on, what's he trying to do, and when I started doing games last year, Phil came up to me and said, "Hey, if there's anybody you want to talk to, hey, feel free to talk to him." And the first trip I went, Carlos Quentin came, sat next to me on the plane, and we just chopped it up, just talking about it, and you know, it's. To me, that's the right thing to do. You know, I'm sure that most coaches don't mind, you know, guys talking about hitting. You know, in my case, I'm very basic. I'm really simple. I don't really have too many mystical theories on hitting. I just believe if you're consistent with your approach, you're going to be consistent with what you're doing up there. But I just wanted to make sure that he called those guys and let them know what was going on, because again, I'm not going to supersede anything they're trying to teach him. I'm just working on the basic thing. So he did. They said no problem, and so he came out for 2-3 days and hit the cage all 3 days, and I think he walked away feeling a whole lot more confident than he did when he got here.
Talking to Tony Gwynn, San Diego State head baseball coach at San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. How often does that happen, that a player calls you out of the blue?
Not often. You know, because, you know, in my case, there's that respect factor, and a lot of guys don't want to, you know, they feel like they're bothering you when they call you or when they talk to you. And I told all the guys on the Padres last year, hey, if you have any questions, anything I can help you with, I'm a Padre. I'm always going to be a Padre. My job really is to try to pass information on to you guys. So if you feel like there's something that maybe I can help you with, feel free, come say something, you know, but most guys don't. You know, most guys don't. And again, when I'm doing games, I try not to encroach on what they're trying to do. Now, if they have a question or something, yeah, feel free, come by and ask, but I'm not going to sit there and, you know, critique every single guy and, you know, give every guy information if he doesn't want it. You know, if they want it, hey, I'm more than happy to give it to you. But that's up to every player. So, you know, Muddy gets on me about that all the time because, you know, he wants you to come down. He wants you to watch. You know, one of the things that I haven't had a chance to do since I retired is to go to spring training. And, you know, our season has just started, so, you know, I don't have much of a chance to get away and get over there. But, you know, before I'm done, I would like the opportunity just to come and hang out for a week and watch what they do on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's funny. We saw Trevor over there, too. I don't know if you've seen a picture of Trevor's hair, but, you know, it's going about shoulder length these days.
Yeah. I you know, it's getting longer. I've never seen him with his hair that long.
How about non-Padres? What about a non-Padre that calls something?
Anybody. I mean, I've had years here where when I first started, you know, Jimmy Rollins came down here, Ryan Howard, Prince Fielder, Justin Upton. You know, I've had some big-name guys, and then I've had a lot of guys, you know, trying to establish themselves. Aaron Cunningham. You know, my son is here every year. Strasburg's here. Plus, you know, the guys that went here to San Diego State, Quentin Berry. You know, Adam Jones has been here the last 3 years with the Orioles. You know, they come and we just work on basic stuff, just like with Cameron. They hit off the tee usually in December and January, and then, you know, February we get out on the field and I tell them, hey, look, keep the ball in the ballpark. I don't need no insurance claims. You guys hit the ball out of the ballpark. And Adam Jones is the only guy that he says, okay, I'll keep it in the ballpark, but I'll when I go out, it's going to be the right center where we got some room where nobody could get hit. And you know, that offer is open to anybody, you know, and a lot of guys take advantage of it. And again, it's just passing on information about the game, about hitting, about, you know, how to conduct yourself, all that stuff. So, and that's a lot of fun because my guys get a chance to sit and watch a guy like Adam Jones, card balls in the right center field with authority. And, to a man, they always say, God, is it that easy? And I say, yeah, it's that easy if you're set up and your approach is right, and you can do those types of things on a consistent basis.
Well, Tony, as interesting as all of that is, we must say one thing we know about you now, you're a little bit of a lousy house guest. How did it feel to walk into USD there and walk out with a 3-game sweep of the Toreros as they're trying to open up their brand-new ballpark?
Well, they did, and it's beautiful. It's a state-of-the-art ballpark, and if you're a college kid, that's exactly what you're looking for—a place where you can play, and you got top-notch facilities, and and all of that. But our job on the other side is no different either. We're trying to do the same type of things that they're doing, and this past weekend we played really well. We got some timely hitting. We pitched well enough. Our bullpen was outstanding. We only made one error over the weekend, and we got off to a really good start. We had a setback here this week. My first baseman, Ryan broke his hand trying to bunt on Wednesday or on Tuesday, so we won't have him for the next 4 to 6 weeks. But I'm really encouraged with the way our guys are going about it. They played well this weekend. I think they deserve to win all 3 games. Now we got number 6 Oregon State coming in here, and hopefully we can continue doing the same things.
One of the things that stood out to me, and college football, I think, is now becoming known not only for the way the programs are performing, but also the way they look out there on the field. On television, the uniforms from both sides really stood out. How did you like the uniforms that you guys are wearing out there on Friday night? Who picked those out?
Now, Friday night uni for us, the black with the red stripes, that's a throwback from the end of the late 1970s, early 1980s. And I have tried since I've been here to get somebody to make that uniform for us. And I thought it looked good. I thought it looked good on Friday night. And, USD's was even more different than anything I've seen. And you're right. The kids, it's important because the kids like that kind of stuff. That's part of the college experience is to get nice stuff. And, they never tell you that when you're recruiting them, but, I know deep down that's what they want. And, they want a selection of uniforms. They want different colored shoes. They want, they want the best bats and gloves and things that you can get them. And I think both universities really did a great job of that this weekend. Each night they had a different uniform on, and again, that's part of college baseball. So, I'm sure this weekend we're going to see some nice things on Oregon State side too, because they're a Nike school. So, and they're in the Pac-12. So, that's part of it.
Hey, last thing before we go, and Tony, I know you got the game tonight, so we appreciate all this time, but you were playing in the Mountain West Conference, and, I did not know this before looking this up. There are only 6 baseball teams in the Mountain West Conference. Is that right?
Yeah. This year there's 6, Fresno, Nevada, New Mexico, UNLV, Air Force, and us.
Is that good or bad?
Well, this year I think it's good because, obviously going to Wyoming or going to Colorado State early in the year, you're not going to get many games in. The thing about our conference is we made it into a really good baseball conference. Coming into the season, New Mexico was ranked, I think, 23rd. We lost TCU, we lost BYU and Utah, but having Nevada and Fresno come in, I think, baseball is still on par. We've got a good baseball conference. Next year we add San Jose State to the mix, and I think that makes us a better conference. So, not going to the Big West, still, it would have been great for us, I think, to go to the Big West, but the fact that we're staying in the Mountain West, I don't think really hurts us too bad because we've gotten multiple bids to the NCAA the last 3 years, and, hopefully we can keep that up.
Well, game time tonight is at 6 o'clock at Tony Gwynn Stadium. It's a top 10 program coming in Oregon State. Tony, as always, thank you very much for the time. It's a pleasure.
No problem, Darren. Thank you.
I appreciate it. The great Tony Gwynn, the head baseball coach at San Diego State.